Billions would starve for lack of a single perfect dish. Imagine every person demanding a five-star personal chef. This scenario is wildly impossible. There are only about 3,500 Michelin-starred restaurants across the entire globe. That translates to perhaps 7,000 leading chefs holding such a prestigious title. Now compare that to a global population approaching 8 billion people. One chef for 1,142,857 individuals. It is a completely unworkable ratio. The training alone for a Michelin chef takes years. We are talking at least 10 to 15 years of dedicated, intense culinary schooling and practical experience. Apprenticeships are long and grueling. They learn countless techniques. They master thousands of recipes. They understand ingredient sourcing at a profound level. Every ingredient must be perfect. The sheer number of hours required to become proficient is immense. Imagine training 8 billion people to that standard. It is an utterly absurd thought. It would take centuries. The financial cost would be unimaginable. A private Michelin chef can command a salary of hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. Some high-end personal chefs charge upward of $20,000 a week. Multiply that by 8 billion people, the global economy would utterly collapse. Money would lose all meaning. The total wealth of the entire planet is estimated at around $454 trillion. This would not even cover the chef salaries for 1 year. We are discussing a minimum of $1.6 quadrillion annually for wages alone. This figure is 4 times the total global wealth, an impossible financial burden. Every kitchen in every home would need a complete overhaul. Standard home kitchens are not equipped for Michelin-level cooking. You would need industrial-grade ovens, high-tech induction cooktops, professional blast chillers, sous vide machines would become standard. Immense walk-in refrigerators and freezers, specialized tools for every single task. Billions of these professional kitchens would need to be built. The demand for stainless steel would exhaust global supplies within months. Fabricating billions of specialized ovens and cooktops would require unprecedented mining and manufacturing. It would drain natural resources like nickel and chromium at an alarming rate. One high-end kitchen can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to build. Multiply that by 8 billion homes. The construction materials alone would cost quadrillions of dollars. The energy consumption would be astronomical. Imagine the ingredient supply chain. Every single ingredient must be of the absolute highest quality. Rare truffles from Italy, saffron from Iran, Wagyu beef from Japan, caviar from the Caspian Sea, heirloom vegetables from specific small farms. How could 8 billion people all receive these premium items daily? The planet cannot produce that volume. Most ingredients would simply cease to exist. They would be overfarmed, overfished, completely depleted within weeks. The biodiversity would be devastated, local farmers markets would disappear, standard fruits and vegetables would become rare commodities. Only the ultra-rich could afford any form of food. The concept of a local grocery store would become a historical footnote. Food distribution would become an insane logistical nightmare. Millions of specialized delivery trucks would be needed. Every road would be clogged. Air freight would be running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The environmental impact would be catastrophic. Carbon emissions would skyrocket to unimaginable levels. The oceans would be empty, the forests barren. Humanity would face an unprecedented ecological disaster. Think of the water required agriculture for these specialized ingredients is incredibly water intensive. For 8 billion people, it is an unsustainable thirst. Entire rivers would be diverted for growing these produce. The definition of a Michelin star would also become meaningless. A Michelin star signifies exceptional dining and a unique culinary experience. If everyone has it, then it is no longer special. It becomes the new ordinary. But an ordinary that is unsustainable, the competition among chefs for recognition would vanish. The pressure for innovation might decrease, or it might intensify to insane levels. Imagine the stress on these chefs, each one responsible for the daily meals of one person. For 8 billion people, that is 8 billion individual palates to please. Every day, every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 24 billion meals prepared daily, each one to Michelin standard. The mental toll would be immense. Chef burnout would be pandemic. They would not have time to be creative. They would simply be cogs in an impossible system. The art of cooking would be destroyed. It would become a chore on an impossible scale. Their joy in creation would vanish under the crushing weight of demand. Their passion would become a factory line. This would also eliminate the pursuit of perfection. As the quality of available ingredients plummeted due to overconsumption, the chefs would be forced to compromise. The very foundation of Michelin excellence, pristine ingredients, would crumble. Consider the societal implications. Food scarcity would lead to immense global conflict. Wars would be fought over access to fertile land. Over clean water, over any remaining high-quality ingredients, a new global power structure would emerge. Those who control the food supply would control everything. The majority of the population would become entirely dependent on a system that cannot sustain itself. Home cooking would disappear. Basic culinary skills would be lost forever. Children would never learn to prepare a simple meal. They would expect perfection every time. And it would be a perfection that is impossible to achieve for everyone. Restaurants as we know them would also cease to exist. Why go to a restaurant if you have a Michelin chef at home? The entire hospitality industry would collapse. Millions of jobs would vanish. Waiters, bartenders, dishwashers, hosts, all gone. The infrastructure supporting restaurants would also crumble. Food suppliers, linen services, kitchen equipment manufacturers, all would suffer immense losses. Think about the cultural impact. Food is deeply tied to identity and tradition. Family recipes passed down generations would become obsolete. The diverse tapestry of global cuisines would be replaced by a standardized, unsustainable perfection. One single flavor profile might dominate. Regional specialties that have existed for hundreds or even thousands of years would simply disappear. This is a profound loss of human heritage. This scenario highlights the profound imbalance between aspiration and reality. The number of people required to train and support such a system is mind-boggling. You would need millions of farmers dedicated to exotic single-crop farming. Billions of delivery personnel navigating constant gridlock, trillions of dollars in infrastructure investment for kitchens and supply chains. All for a dream that is literally unfulfillable. The average person eats 3 meals a day, that is over 1,000 meals per year, for 8 billion people, that is 8 trillion meals annually. Each one crafted with meticulous attention, each one using the finest ingredients. The sheer volume of waste generated would be another environmental catastrophe. Michelin cooking often involves precise cuts, trimming, discarding parts that are not perfect. This would mean billions of tons of food waste daily. Landfills would overflow beyond imagination. The energy required to dispose of this waste would be enormous. The water usage would be equally astronomical. Cooking uses a lot of water. Cleaning uses even more. 8 billion kitchens constantly operating and cleaning. The world's freshwater reserves would be severely depleted. Many regions would face extreme drought. The global climate crisis would accelerate at an unprecedented rate. This thought experiment quickly devolves into a nightmare scenario. It shows how specialized excellence cannot be universally scaled without utterly destroying the underlying systems and resources that make it possible. The very notion of scarcity is what gives value to something like a Michelin star. When it is no longer scarce, it loses its meaning and creates an impossible demand. The human population continues to grow, each year adding tens of millions more mouths to feed. Currently, the global population grows by about 80 million people per year. Imagine adding 80 million more people who each demand a private Michelin chef annually. The scale of the problem compounds exponentially. The resources needed would quickly exceed anything the Earth could possibly provide. It is a stark reminder of resource limits and the inherent luxury in truly high-end dining. It cannot be democratized without destroying itself and everything else around it. What about the crucial support staff for the chefs? Each Michelin chef often has a team, sous chefs, prep cooks, cleaners. That multiplies the demand by another factor of 3 or 4. So instead of 8 billion chefs, we need 24 billion or even 32 billion highly trained culinary professionals. The training pipeline would completely collapse, universities would become cooking schools, but who would teach them? The few existing Michelin chefs would be too busy cooking. This entire concept is a grand exercise in absurdity. It emphasizes the true cost of perfection, not just monetary cost, but ecological and societal cost. The delicate balance of our food systems would shatter instantly. We rely on mass production of staple foods, wheat, rice, corn. These basic sustenance items would be overlooked for exotic demands. Hunger would become widespread. Even with a personal chef, the lack of ingredients would mean an empty plate. A Michelin chef cannot create a gourmet meal from thin air. They need ingredients, and those ingredients simply would not exist in the quantity required. The global food security would vanish. Our planet has finite resources, and this fantasy quickly runs into those hard limits. Every facet of life would be affected, from farming to fuel to finance. The dream of personal luxury would become a worldwide nightmare of scarcity and conflict.